Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to make a DIY Dollar Tree farmhouse mason jar sign and lettering tutorial. You guys have been asking about my lettering and I wanted to share it with you. We're going to use this mason jar eyeball sign in the Halloween section at the Dollar Tree. And then I used a variety of paints, white, blue, green, and black. And then a paintbrush, and I used jute for string. So all I'm doing is taking off the embellishments. This has a green bow, a ribbon that it was hung from, and then a sign in the front that says, "I've got my eyes on you," which is actually glued to the mason jar. And also across the top of the mason jar, where it would be like the threads or the lid, that is also multi-dimensional. So you don't actually have to take this off. I wanted to show you guys that if you really didn't want the eyeballs back there, you could take it off and you could paint the back solid color. And it wasn't easy to come off. It looks like it would take like a bit, and I worked on it for quite a bit. So what I'm just going to show you real quick is I did it and then I ended up painting on the back. But I just wanted to show you that you can peel the paper in layers. You can make it relatively smooth, and since we're going to paint on it anyway, the paint seems to be very forgiving. You do a base coat of white if you want to leave the front. The only advantage to doing it on the front would be that little strip of purple threads going across the top of the lid. That might help you if you weren't a good painter. Then that might help you determine where the jar is. But I'll show you how to do that on the back. So now that I'm on the back, I'm very carefully taking this label off. Now some of the labels from the Dollar Tree, you guys know, come off like so easy. This one I had to take my time because I did not want to rip the chipboard. Like there's a paper film on the chipboard, and I did end up getting two spots that I ripped. If you look at the sticker, wherever there's a little brown spot on the sticker is where I actually ripped the chipboard. But I just do it slow. I peel it back. I use my nails, try to get every little piece to stick to the main sticker, pull it back on itself, and I did pretty good. I just got two little spots, like I said, that had the chipboard paper peel off. But you'll see once we paint it, and I didn't know for sure, just like let you guys know. I was being very careful because I didn't know how it would affect the paint job. But that's what I decided to just go ahead and give it a shot and see what happens. So the first thing that I'm going to start with is white. Now, I said this is going to be a lettering tutorial, but I'm also going to show you some painting techniques and tricks that you may not know. First thing is, always go and add a tiny bit of dark to your light. So if you want to get a pastel, start with white and add blue to it. Or like if you want to get a light blue. If you start with blue and try to add white, you'll end up using a jar and a half of white. And put down as much white as you think you might want paint, and then add blue to it. Because if you're going to mix a paint color, you don't want to mix it and then have to go back and say, that's not enough, and try to mix the same color again. So what I did was I took almost equal parts of blue and green, and this was called royal blue and leaf green, and they're both by Plaid. One's the Americana line that I got from Michael's ages and ages ago, and one is just the Plaid line. And I was trying to make that sort of really pretty turquoisey robin egg blue sort of color, like the old mason jars. And I didn't want to make it the solid color. I wanted to make this look dimensional. So what I'm doing is I'm darker colors around the edge, lighter, like white in the middle, because I'm trying to give it that round effect. So basically what I did was I took the light blue or the turquoise color, I mixed it into the white, and then I painted it along the edges, then went back with more just white, same paintbrush, and blended in the middle. And I wanted to get full coverage. Now what I'm doing is I'm going back with the dark color. So the color like where I mixed it in the beginning, I'm going back and I'm dipping the edge of my paintbrush into like the darker shade right there on the very edge of that sponge brush, just right up to the edge. And I'm going off of the edge of the mason jar and I'm pulling in the direction of the bottom. The bottom of the mason jar will show you what direction that the paint needs to go. Okay, that means that gives it that 3D effect. And as you can see here, I did that last brush strokes was just a little dark. So I'm just going back over a little bit of the light color and I'm just blending it in. And again, these mason jars are supposed to be hand blown glass. They're not perfect. They're old, they're scratched and that kind of thing. So even this painting technique does not have to be perfect, guys. But basically what you do is you want it to be lighter in the center of the jar and a little darker on the edges. And now I'm mixing a gray. I've taken just 2 drops of black and I've mixed it into white. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a silver cap. And I realized that I never drew the line where my cap was going to go. So I went back, drew it, filled in with the darker blue of the paint, and then went ahead and did the same thing where I darkened the edges to make it look round, because in 3-dimensional drawing, when something is towards you and the light is hitting it, when something is away, the light is in shadow. Okay, and I'm just doing that. Now I just take like the paintbrush, whatever, it's got gray or blue in it, and I'm going around the edge just to make it look finished. And then I'm going to let this dry overnight. But you know what, I think I've decided to take the flat end of my brush and some darker gray, and just to accentuate more shadow where those threads would be going across the different waves. All right, and then we're just going to let it dry overnight. So the next day I went onto my OneDrive app and into my Microsoft Word app, which are both free apps in the Apple Store. They might be on Android as well. And I created a template, a table, excuse me. And in the table, I wrote what I wanted to write out, and I used different fonts. The inspiration piece was just where I got the wording from, but I just thought that was the cutest little saying that I wanted to make. And I picked whatever fonts that I want, and I wanted to show you guys how you can trace a variety of fonts. So what I did first was, after I printed them, I cut them out closest to what they looked, and I did their placement, and I taped, just with masking tape, them together in a row so that they wouldn't change their placement after I rubbed it. And then, as you just saw, I flipped it over. I rubbed a regular number 2 pencil along the back. You can do this with charcoal, but sometimes charcoal's messy. And I'm just going over each letter. Now, I won't get the exact inking, like if you did the chalk dust font, for example, you wouldn't get the chalk dust effect because of it doesn't ink like when it prints, but you can get the lettering. You know, you guys are always so lovely to say about my penmanship, that I have such great penmanship, but I wanted to show you how you can achieve this without having great penmanship. Okay, so can you see? It's really hard to see. Here, I think you could see the W on this. It's mostly because it's really light. Oh, there you go. Now that's better. You can see it there. And of course, you don't want it to be super dark because you want it to disappear after you paint over it. Now, if you are not a skilled painter, you can always take a magic marker to this right now. You can take a Sharpie, a blue Sharpie, black Sharpie, gray Sharpie, silver Sharpie, whatever your heart's content. And you can go at it with a magic marker. And if you feel like you need to practice your lettering better, then go ahead and hit it with that magic marker. Don't have to worry about that it's blue or blue green. I'm telling you, I'm trying to match somebody's aesthetic. So that's why I'm doing this. What I've decided to do is to mix the dark colors that I had made yesterday. And I made enough paint because I didn't know how much paint I was going to need. But I did equal parts of the royal blue and the leaf green to make this sort of turquoise blue. If you guys have been around a lot, you know when we bought Emily's new plates for her new house, this is the color that they were. So I'm trying to not only match the mason jar look that she's going to have going on in her kitchen, but also that beautiful turquoise blue color. All right, and I was thinking like I might go back and highlight these to make it look like they're raised letters in a jar, but I just wanted to be able to make something pretty for her. And the saying on here, like I said, the inspiration piece that I found on Pinterest said, we go together like moonshine in a mason jar. And I just thought that was so perfect for her and Josh. So what I'm doing here is, and I'm showing you guys, I've taken the thinnest of the Dollar Tree paintbrushes that came with my set. And then I realized, what am I doing? Why am I beating myself up to show you guys that you can get paintbrushes from the Dollar Tree? No, I didn't think that at all. what I ended up going to is just one of my thinner paintbrushes. It was much easier to do lettering, much neater to do lettering with the proper tools. Okay, and this paintbrush set wasn't very expensive. I think it was $2 at Michael's, but that was probably 20 years ago. So if you take good care of your stuff, it takes good care of you. All right, so I'm just going over whatever pencil lines I can see, and if I haven't hit a couple of spots where I couldn't see the pencil lines very well, and I looked for the indent lines from the pencil. But if I didn't have either, I just referred back to the printout to give myself an idea of exactly how big that letter was supposed to be or what shape that letter was supposed to be. And if it makes you feel better when you first start, you can go over this very lightly and then go back and fill in. As you can see, I've done in a few spots, like right here, okay, where I started off very lightly and then I went back and said, okay, let's make that thicker or make that fuller, and so on and so forth. All right, and again, practice, practice, practice. Now, if you write this and you hate it for some reason, we painted over a piece of chipboard. You can always paint it again. Like, honestly, they always talk about when you take art history lessons how great painters paint over canvases, and they remove, they use computer, laser, infrared sort of X-ray CAT scans. I couldn't think CAT scans to see old works of art underneath new works of art. Because some artists use their old canvas, so just go ahead and paint over it. I mean, I'm not Michelangelo. I will paint over it. I won't destroy the Mona Lisa. I'm not Leonardo da Vinci. I won't destroy the Mona Lisa by painting over it if I make a huge mistake. But I love it, and she is the kind of person who loves Farmhouse, and we all know Farmhouse is handmade. That's what the Farmhouse is all about, things that are handmade. So if it looks handmade, it's more likely to go with the Farmhouse theme, if that makes sense. Okay? So now I'm just going back and filling in all those things that I said I went over with a light hand. And going back and I'm filling in to make it look a little bit thicker. Tried to match the two A's the best I could. Okay. And then I realized, oh, I don't even have the right J down there. So that's it. Now I'm just going to set it off to let it dry. And then I'm going to come back in a little while. Because this is acrylic paint, it does dry really fast. I'm going to go ahead and tie a piece of jute to the top. And just make a jute loop. And one of my famous loops, you take two strings, you tie the ends together, and then you hook it inside each other. Couldn't decide which this would look better. So I went from the top down. And I put the loop underneath the knot and pulled. And when you do this at home, you'll know exactly what I mean. And there it is. I hope you really like this tutorial. If you do, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. Don't forget to share with friends and family. Anybody you know who'd be interested in making one of these or likes the Farmhouse mason jar look. And quick, run out to the Dollar Tree and get as many of these signs as you can before they're sold out. And as always, you take care. God bless. We'll see you next time. Goodbye. Don't forget to subscribe.